Hola, amigos. I hope you're doing well. A lot of us are going to come back to school after this break to a fully remote classroom and maybe even starting a new semester with brand new kids that we've never met before. So, what are we going to do to get to know them better? Let me show you what I do. And I actually have been doing this since before remote learning because I like to have all my student information organized and in one location. So what I do is I use a Google form, and this is the very first homework assignment that I give my students as a getting to know you survey. A lot of other teachers do this by handing out note cards and collecting them at the end of class, but really I do think this is like way more organized. Let me show you. So this is the Google form that I create, and I ask my students to fill this out for homework in English. I want them to do it in English because I teach Spanish 1, but also because I want them to feel comfortable writing as much as they can. So I collect their email addresses, and then I ask them the name that they want to go by, their last name, and their class period, and this is all just for sorting information later. And I only have to create this once and share it with all of my classes because I ask for their class period. Then I ask what grade they're in because a lot of my classes are cross grade level. And then I ask about their previous experience with language. Does anyone else at home speak another language besides English? If so, who speaks what? And then here's what I get into, like actually wanting to know about the students. So what do they like to do for fun? And do they have a special gift or talent? And I tell them everybody does. You just have to think about it a little bit. And then if there's anything that I need to know about them to help them be successful in my class, and lastly, anything else they want to share. And I have modified these questions over time. Feel free to modify them to be whatever you want to be. I'll actually put a link to this in the description. So if you want to copy it and use it and modify it for yourself, you can. One other thing I've done with my upper level students, when we do free voluntary reading, I also put a question on here asking them what kinds of books they like to read. And I use that information later on. So here's the form. They fill it out for homework. When they're done, I get all of their responses in one place. And this is an old form, so the responses aren't here anymore. But when you click on this, they would all be here. And I click on this spreadsheet here to get all of their information in one place. So here's what the spreadsheet looks like. And what I did is I put together a sample one so that everybody's information was private for this video. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a separate tab at the bottom here for each class so that when I go to print it, I just print that information for that one class. The way you make another tab in Google Forms is just to click on this plus button. And then if you right click on it, you can rename it. And now I can copy and paste my information for everybody in second period into this new tab. And I have it all here. And I can just print this new tab with all of their information. Okay, great. So now what do I use this information for? Well, the first thing I do is that I print out each class period and I keep it on a clipboard. And I go through and I highlight information that is important to me that I need to think about down the road. And then I use that to help engage students and increase participation, especially right now when we're virtual and I ask a question and all I hear are crickets and see blank stares. And it might be a question so simple as like, who likes to play video games? And you get nothing. So then I look at my list and I'm like, oh, actually, I see that Billy really likes to play video games. Billy, is that true? What video games do you like to play? Oh, Tommy, you seem to like to play those games too. And then I get the ball rolling and the conversation going a little bit more smoothly because I know a little bit about them. So that's the first way. The second thing I do with this information is that I actually reply to each student. I send them each a personal email, try to connect with them one-on-one, which is so hard to do virtually. And I'm sure a lot of you are like, I ain't got no time for that. Well, let me show you how I do it, where I can send out 150 emails in an hour and be done. I just make a template and I copy and paste it into every email. I leave myself some blank spaces here where I comment on something that they said in their survey, maybe something I have in common with them or a question they asked, but I don't write more than a couple sentences to each student. Then you're going to have your generic students that really don't write anything. They're like, my special talent is sports. And so I have a generic one to respond to those people as well. What sports do you like? What positions do you play? Remember, I'm always here to help you. Have a great year. Copy, paste, done. And I can send these out to all of my students relatively quickly. So you might be thinking, wow, that's really nice, but kind of excessive, and I don't have time to reply to all of those emails. So what is the point? Well, I believe in showing my students that if I ask them to do something, I'm going to read it and I'm going to reply with feedback. So by replying to the very first assignment with this level of personalized feedback, it shows them that I care enough about them and that the assignments I ask them to do are not a waste of their time. Secondly, I also want my students to learn a little bit about me. And so when I reply to something that we have in common, they get to see a little bit more about me as a person. Thirdly, I want to start training them to check their email, especially during virtual learning. I want them to know that they have to be checking their email. And it also is going to show me who are my really reliable, responsible kids? The ones that choose to reply to me are going to be the ones I can rely on and maybe the ones I can call on during class if I need assistance. I would say about 5% of the students are going to reply on their own. The rest are not even going to check the email. So the next day in class, the very first thing I ask them to do as a warm-up is to check your email. And I tell them you can reply if you want to, you don't have to, but just please read it. Then there's maybe a handful of students that are going to start a correspondence with you and maybe reply 2 or 3 times, but it's sweet. And you know that those are the kids that actually want to connect and actually need that adult connection. So I really do think it's worth it. So remember how earlier I said I like to have everything in one place and it helps me stay organized? Here's another way that I use this spreadsheet. In Google Forms, if I want to move around the columns, I can. So let's say I want the emails right next to the student names. I just click on the H, the title of this column, and I drag it next to the student name. If this is my original spreadsheet with every single student's name and email in it, I now have a file that I can use to upload anytime I need to create accounts for my students. So if I need to import a class to Senior Wooly or Edpuzzle or Quizlet or any of the other sites that I use, I have this information here that I can copy and paste and upload to whatever site I want. And I have everyone's accounts created in 30 seconds. Amazing, right? Such a time saver. A lot of times, those sites ask you for a CSV file. So what you do is you just highlight the information you need, copy it, create a new tab, paste it, and then from File, you go to Download and you choose CSV file. This will download to your desktop or wherever you ask it to download. Then when you go into whatever site you need to upload this file, it's right there. You're going to tell me, yeah, I can do this through my gradebook. You can, but it's just another place you have to go. And for me, I just always think this is so much faster. So that's another great benefit of collecting the student information this way. I hope you found this helpful and that it will help you to make connections with your students at the beginning of the semester. I'll put links to everything I talked about in the description, and don't forget to like and follow this channel. Have a great day.